Probably the biggest weakness of a narcissist is the fact that he or she does not recognize that he or she has weaknesses, and that's a big problem because if you don't recognize your weaknesses, that makes you extremely vulnerable because you can't defend yourself at those points of weakness. What's more, you can't correct them. But number one is this: narcissists have limited perspective. They see what is in front of them. They don't see the future. They don't see consequences. They are driven by impulse, not impulse control. Let's put this in perspective. Now, speaking of perspective, let's imagine a crow. Now, crows are intelligent and they like to have fun. And they're very agile. I saw a video not long ago of a crow that would slide down a roof. He's just having fun. He'd slide down the roof, go back to the top, and slide down again. That's what crows do. Another thing crows like to do is they like to harass other birds. They're kind of like narcissists, you know. They like to harass other people, get a kick out of it. And one of the birds they like to harass is the eagle. Now, eagle is different from a crow. Obviously, they're both birds, but they're different. An eagle is not agile. An eagle can fly high, but if the eagle is harassed by a crow, it's very hard for the eagle to defend himself because it just doesn't have that ability to turn and fight. So what does the eagle do? Well, the eagle just soars higher. It gets out of the range of the crow, so the crow can't go that high and attack it. I have heard, don't know if it's true or not, but I have heard that eagles can soar or have been known to soar as high as 30,000 feet. That's high. You know, if you've ever flown on a jet airlane or long trip, you've probably been 35,000 feet up in the air. You go any higher than that, there's just not much air to fly in. You maybe have looked up in the sky and you've seen this little dot with a trail behind it, you know, the white exhaust trail behind it. That's about 30,000 feet. That's how high a crow or a eagle rather flies, or can fly, or has been known to fly. So the eagle just gets out of the zone, out of the range of the crow. Now think of the crow again as a narcissist, and you're the eagle. Now if you want, you could try to fight with these birds, but you're just wasting your time. Thing to do is just get out of their zone. You know, let them go fight someone else. They have very limited perspective. All they can see is, you know, their fight. That's not to say they're not intelligent. I know some narcissists who are very intelligent. They just don't use it. Don't use their intelligence. Most narcissists I've encountered, not smart, not stupid. They're in the mid-range somewhere. But the problem with the crow, man, it just doesn't have much of a perspective because it's just looking what's in front of it, looking to satisfy itself, looking to have fun, and nothing wrong with that if you're a crow. But if you're a human being, okay, that's a different story. And narcissists, the ones that I have known, and I've known a lot of them. You know, I'm in my 70s. I've seen a thing or two. That's where I get all this stuff. I'm just sharing with you things that I've learned, and I've noticed that, you know, the narcissistic crow just likes to have fun. Has no real perspective other than itself. And that's a weakness, and you can exploit that. Eagles exploit it by getting away from them and letting them just kind of destroy themselves. Number two, narcissists have what I call a limited comfort zone. Narcissists love comfort. They don't like to work, at least the ones that I've known don't. There are some exceptions, I'm sure. Never met one, but I'm sure they've got to be out there somewhere. But every narcissist I've ever encountered almost takes pride in the fact that he can get away with being lazy for so long. And he just takes advantage, or she just takes advantage of other people. So they have this comfort zone that is limited to their comfort. They never get outside that, or very seldom get outside. And if they do get outside of it, it's because there's something on the other side of outside their comfort zone, which leads back to more comfort. They like to exploit people, and if they have to get outside their comfort zone to do that, to feed their supply, which is their ego, anything that feeds their ego a supply, then and only then have I seen them get outside their comfort zone. So they're like crows. You know, they have this little sphere they operate in, and they stay in that sphere. My strategy is to get away from them. Number 3, by the way, one of the ways you can exploit that is you expand your comfort zone. Or more often, you get outside of it. You don't have to be in your comfort zone all the time because you know the value of getting outside your comfort zone. Those of you who are bodybuilders, you know it's not necessarily comfortable to lift weights, but you can see the value of doing that, so you do it. Narcissists, are there bodybuilding narcissists? Probably because they like the admiration, but by and large, now, bodybuilders that I have met, they tend to be fairly humble people. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you've seen something I haven't seen. Number 3 is they have what I call introspective blindness. I was trying to find an antonym for introspective, and I couldn't find one. Introspective means you look inside. Narcissists don't look inside. They look outside. If they looked inside, they wouldn't like what they saw if they were honest, and that's what introspection is all about, is being honest with yourself about yourself. Narcissists do not want to be honest with themselves about themselves because they would have to admit that they're selfish, they're self-absorbed. They're really not much of benefit to humanity other than just one human, that's themselves. They tend to lack introspection. They are just blind to it. They don't know what they're all about, and they don't want to know. Have you ever seen a narcissist go to a therapist? I'm talking about a psychologist therapist. No. Why would they? They don't have a problem. They don't think. Number 4 is they don't learn from their mistakes. Okay, they learn from their mistakes in this sense. If they try to scam somebody and they don't get away with it, they go back and think about why they didn't get away with it, and they learn in that sense. They learn how to get away with it next time. In fact, I have heard that one thing the therapists say narcissists are really good at is fooling therapists. They have been to therapists when they have to be, by court order, whatever. They may wind up in jail. They say 20% of inmates in prisons are psychopaths compared to 2% in the general population. These people, they don't have any sense. They don't have any foresight, as we said earlier. So they're inclined to get in trouble with the law. And sometimes when you get in trouble with the law or the courts make you seek counseling. All right, so they go see a counselor, and what do they learn? Nothing other than how to manipulate the counselor. So that is what they do. They learn from their mistakes, not how to improve themselves, as made evident in their role in society, but only to please themselves. That's the only place where they learn, or they care to learn. Number 5 is, to a narcissist, and this is exploitable, is morality follows materialism. These people, the ones that I've known, have no sense or very little sense of morality, very little sense of what right and wrong is or the difference. Okay, maybe they know it, they just don't care. Well, I know they know the difference because if you do something offensive to a narcissist, or if somebody steals from a narcissist, they blow that way out of proportion. How dare you? How dare you offend me? How dare you walk in front of me? How dare you get a promotion and not me? How dare you do anything and not include me and let me go first? So they know what morality is all about because they know when they are wronged. So they know the difference between right and wrong, obviously, when it applies to themselves. But again, they're just blind to it when it applies to others. I don't know how many times I've seen narcissists get really upset when they're slighted, but they slight other people and they think it's fun. It's like a crow. They like to play with people. They like to peck at them, like a crow. They don't see that as a problem at all, unless somebody pecks on them, another bird comes up and pecks on the crow. Crow's not real happy with that. That is the essence of narcissist. Is number 5 is they're obsessed with materialism. They want things that please themselves. Morality, only when it applies to them. Number 6 is they have trouble coping. This kind of touches on what we talked about before, introspection and learning from mistakes. Is their ability to cope with negative emotions is almost non-existent. Now, they can force themselves to do that, because you remember the love bombing. You remember the love bonding. You know that the narcissist was very capable of masking his negative outburst. He or she was very capable of masking their negative intentions. So they know the difference. They can cope if they really want to force themselves to, but it's not easy. And it's not long before that mask begins to slip because it's not natural. It's a mask, it's a get-up. It's a stage performance where, the typical person, they cope naturally. They don't have these explosive tempers. Average person, some people do. But they're not constantly trying to con people like the narcissist does or the psychopath. They just don't. It's not part of their nature. They cope by nature. But the narcissist, they have to fake cope, and they can't keep it up for long. That is a weakness, and one of the reasons that narcissists tend not to control people forever is because, for that very reason, they can't cope with it. Eventually, they will be found out. And I think that's another reason why narcissists, not all of them, but many that I've known, hide. They get found out, they go hide. They try to be invisible. That's one of the reasons I've noticed a lot of narcissists, and again, not all of them, but they're what they call couch surfers. That is to say, they'll live with a friend or family member until they drive them crazy, and then they'll move and, they sleep on their sofa, so to speak, couch surfing. Then they'll go find someone else they can take advantage of and live with them. I know narcissists who've done that their entire lives. I know a guy, he's in his 70s, I think. He's about my age, so yeah, he's 70 or so. And still, there he is, living in somebody else's house. Their spare bedroom, their living room, couch. This guy, when he was scamming me, he lived in my office for 3 years until I caught on to him. They can't cope. They just can't cope with reality. Number 7 is they are unreasonable. Literally, they don't have the ability to reason. You have heard the saying, you can't reason with an unreasonable person. That explains why you can't reason with a narcissist. If there is somebody you try to reason with them and they won't listen to your reason, it could be they know you're right, but they don't want to be reasonable even if they can be. Speaking of narcissists, they don't understand or refuse to grasp or live in a world that is reasonable. Why? Because it's all about them. That's not reasonable. But that's what they're addicted to, their own egos. They're addicted to you giving them supplies by building their ego again. That's what the narcissist is all about. That's not reasonable. So the narcissist goes through life making unreasonable decisions because it satisfies his or her ego. Now, all of us do that to some degree. I had a problem for years where I would eat too much. I got up to 260 pounds. There is nothing reasonable about that. Feeding my appetite, feeding my pleasures, not trying to be happy, but trying to find happiness through eating. And all I would do is I'd be happy until the food ran out, that I'd eat some more. That's kind of what narcissists do when they get supply. It's not reasonable, but they never stop. They never go on a diet. They never say, hey, this isn't working for me, it's hurting me. They never get to that point. At least I've never seen one. They just get old and die. Let's tie all these together. What we find is this. Narcissists live in a perpetual state of being, in a sense, wounded. not like somebody who deserves empathy or sympathy, but somebody who constantly is hurting themselves. And if most of us, we have hurts and wounds in our lives. Sometimes we do it to ourselves, sometimes other people do it, and it makes us stronger. Because when you are wounded, and every bodybuilder knows this, when you are injured, like you work out a muscle and injure your muscle, they tell you this all the time, that makes it stronger through the healing process. So you injure your muscle by lifting weights, and then it heals. It makes your muscle bigger. We go through life. Most of us rational people take rational and natural, and it comes out natural. But rational, natural people, we go through life being hurt, and then we heal, and we get stronger. Narcissists go through life getting hurt and never healing. So they get worse, and that makes them terribly vulnerable. Because these are wounded, self-inflicted wounds, injured people who just can't make it in life on their own without scamming other people, like you and me, and because you've experienced it. There's a red dot in the lower right-hand corner. Click on that. Become part of our family by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Lower left-hand corner, there's a rectangle. When you click on that, that's our video library. You go back and watch, however many hundred videos we have in our library. You can do that forever if you want to, and we'll see y'all next time.